Kia ora koutou, ko Hilary Kingston tōku ingoa. This is a recording for those of you who are intending on completing your study as campus students, and that study for your grad dip, post-grad dip or Masters in Teaching and Learning for the secondary endorsement. So this is supplementary to the information that you can access off the UC website. There is going to be a separate video recording for those of you who are thinking about enrolling in Te Reo or technology, because you will, they are the two options that we have via distance. So if you are thinking about completing your study next year via distance in those two learning areas only, then there'll be a separate recording that will be available for you to watch, that you can find off the website, and that will detail additional subjects for you. But for the rest of you that are going to be thinking about joining us here on campus next year, this will just talk through how you select an additional subject and perhaps what your options might be. In some instances, like I mentioned earlier, your additional teaching subject may be a senior subject, so one which is taught in semester 2. So on the slide in front of you are examples of those instances where your additional subject would be a senior subject, potentially in social sciences, in health, outdoor ed, PE, or senior science. Enrollment in our grad dip or post-grad programs for secondary teacher education require you to select a specialist or a main teaching subject, which you will teach at both junior and senior level, as well as an additional teaching subject, which will most probably be taught at the junior level, so years 7 to 10, but in some cases your additional teaching subject may be taught at senior level, so years 11 to 13. There are a few things to note about additional teaching subjects. So firstly, when you apply for teaching positions at the beginning of your career, once you've completed your qualification, this will usually be in your specialist or main teaching subject with your additional, so a subject area you most likely have had some experience of within your undergraduate degree, is sort of an extra string to your bow. Choosing an additional teaching subject at this stage provides 15 points towards completing your teaching qualification, but it does not lock you into teaching that subject for the rest of your teaching career. In fact, you will find that when you are appointed within a school, you may over time and with some teaching experience pick up a range of different teaching subjects that you hadn't initially anticipated. The additional teaching subject you choose will be used to support placing you for professional placements. There are 2 placements in schools for this qualification, and all efforts are made to try and place you in schools that offer spaces in your specialist area. However, sometimes there may be gaps that we might need to fill in your timetable, and that's where we would use your additional teaching subject. Of the junior, so years 7 to 10, teaching subjects that we currently offer. So for both specialist and additional teaching subjects, you will be assessed of your suitability to take these based on the expectations of experience and academic background you have to have in the subject area. This means that you may not get offered your first choice of specialist or additional teaching subject if your academic transcript doesn't support the academic background or prerequisites that are required. Previous degree studies, preferably to 300 level, is required for your specialist or main teaching subject. For your additional teaching subject, study to 200 level is preferable. If you are not sure about what additional teaching subject to select, or if you are eligible to teach your preferred additional subject, please contact one of the student advisors before the program starts in January. And I have a list of the 3 student advisors for education here on the slide and their contact details. The next few slides are for those of you who do not have an obvious additional teaching subject. So you don't have any additional papers in your undergraduate degree at 200 level that you could use as an additional subject. So the next few slides are for you. One-year graduate and postgrad program is a combined program with both primary and secondary endorsements. So if you're watching this presentation, you've chosen to complete your teaching qualification with an endorsement in secondary education. If you find that you don't have the necessary prerequisites in your academic transcript for an additional teaching subject, there are other options that you can select. The first option is that you could select one of these three primary curriculum papers. From a timetabling perspective, taking one of these primary papers can work really well. Because we are part of the same program, there are no timetabling or assignment due date clashes or issues with when you are off campus completing your practicum. There is an option that you can take an alternative 15-point paper from elsewhere in the university to get the 15 points you need to complete your qualification. But you do need to consider that there are some possible implications with this option, in that there may be lectures timetabled for when you're out on practicum, and there may be some assignment due dates that are due when you are actually on practicum as well, and that may have an impact on workload for you. If you're wondering about the value of taking a primary paper when you're doing an endorsement in secondary, be assured that there is great value in taking a primary paper in the area of study that aligns to your specialist teaching subject. Because within the secondary endorsement, you come into teaching with a background of knowledge in your chosen subject area. So your content knowledge is already a given. What you will learn, however, is the art and craft of teaching and the curriculum framework and how your teaching subject is represented within that framework. So a primary additional course will only strengthen this understanding. So it is not a disadvantage to take if you are needing to find an additional subject for the 15 points that you need to complete this qualification. If you'd like to learn more about the three primary papers on offer as additional teaching subjects, you can type in the course code that you see on the screen into the UC website, and that will give you a breakdown of what the paper involves and who the coordinator is for that paper. And if you have any specific questions, you could email them. I mentioned earlier that in some cases, students will be in a position to choose a senior additional teaching subject. And from this year, we have two new options. We have vocational education and Te Ao Haka. So these workshops would take place in semester 2. So vocational education, there is a limitation on entry for this course because it is subject to being able to find placements in schools. So this isn't, vocational education isn't offered as a subject necessarily in secondary schools, and it is more of a pastoral care pathway for students. So we do need to limit our numbers in that because we are restricted by how many placements we can offer. Te Ao Haka, this course was introduced in response to the NCEA review and is now a new subject at NCEA level. It is important that you have a significant background in participation and involvement in kapa haka for entry into this course. If you have any questions about Te Ao Haka or your suitability for it, you can chat to one of the student advisors that are listed on slide 3, or you could contact the lecturer in charge, which is Afi Clark, and I have her email address there for you. So finally, it is advisable that you get your specialist and additional teaching subjects sorted and confirmed prior to starting the course in January. If you are unsure or have any questions about additional teaching subjects, please contact a student advisor who can help you, or at least direct you to someone who can. I'm looking forward to meeting the new cohort of students in January. Ngā mihi nui, kia ora.